All right. Hey guys, I'm Dorka, and welcome to this live stream. Also, this is my face. So hello, and thanks for coming, whether you're catching this live or you're going to see the replay. So thanks for stopping by. Really excited to have you here. The topic of today's live stream is going to be making your manga dreams a reality. As you know, this channel is all about comics and drawing and things. So to help me with this topic, I'm going to be talking with Perry Edwards, aka Perry's Hotter, here on YouTube and his other social media platforms. Really looking forward to speaking with him more. He is currently working on his own indie shounen manga, which I'll let him tell you about once he gets here. Otherwise, yeah, I just have a lot of questions for him. I only recently found out about him and his artwork, and I was just really interested in a lot of things. So I'm going to hopefully get to enough of those questions, and also not take up too much of your day. I'm sure we've all got things we have to do. So I'm just waiting for Perry to get in. Hopefully he got the link and things. What else do I want to talk about? I first saw him, he did an interview actually with Marsh Makes Comics here on YouTube, and so that's how I first found out about him. And what else? Yeah, and from there I started following him and keeping up with his videos and catching him on Instagram. And so he really appreciate him actually taking the time to do this, because I literally just left a comment on one of his videos asking him if he'd want to do an interview, and he said yes, and then we set it up for today. So this is all very like spur of the moment, pretty improvised stuff. So give me a sec. I'm gonna see if my invite went out. Just give me a minute. Should have come from this email. Yeah, okay. Will it let me know? Okay. Sorry for the delay, guys. I sent it to the right email. Check a few things. Nope, that's not it. All right. Give me 1 second. All right. I just made sure to send the link again just to be safe. What else? So let me think. Hang on. I think I got something. Here we go. And stream. All right. Hey.
Hey.
Hey. All right. Hey, guys. So this is Perry's Hotter. He made it. Glad you got the link. And gave a quick introductions, and I wanted to interview you. And thanks for making the time, first off.
No problem. It was my day off.
Good. Lucky. So definitely tell us who you are and about your manga and what you're all about.
Well, my name is Perry. Perry Edwards, but Perry S_Hotter is what I go by on all social media. I am a mangaka in the making my own manga called Cold Blooded, which is a shonen slash seinen battle manga. It's on Webtoon, Tapastic. I put it on the Duck webcomics. I put it on Pop Comics. I put it on Art Street. It's on a lot of places. And I ran a Kickstarter this year or early this year.
Mhm.
I raised $832 to get a uh, first volume. Is what it looks like,
Yeah, awesome.
and uh, and now I'm trying to put out chapters every so often each month until I get enough for a second book.
Mhm.
And the log line, Rembrandt Snart misses his father, and while holding out hope after his father's disappearance 5 years ago, he discovers latent reptilian abilities brought out by a shadowy figure determined to end his life.
Awesome. Cool beans. So what I had mentioned a little bit earlier was that I first found you because you had done an interview with Marsh Makes Comics.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I was like you said, all the things about running your Kickstarter and physically printing a copy of your book. I was just interested in because printing is
Mm-hmm.
something I've gotten a lot interested. I've been thinking about a lot lately and trying to figure out how it all works. But also, what really interested me is, of course, when I talk about making your manga dreams a reality, it's obviously we hear about the people after they've gotten famous and have gotten big. And what I
Mm-hmm.
like seeing is that you've accomplished so much already, but you're also still putting a lot of building blocks in place, and you're getting your social media following up and putting your comic out there a lot.
Yeah,
And I
I'm
think
I'm certainly trying and put a lot of effort because I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm on my way, and I feel like it's just a matter of time.
definitely, yeah, I think it's great for people to see that you're trying to accomplish more and more.
Mm-hmm.
So when did you? So kind of two things. When did you start drawing, and then when did you come up with the idea for Cold Blooded?
So I started drawing before I learned how to write because I'd be stuck at my grandmother's house a lot prior to school because both my parents worked and I didn't have anything to do but like watch TV, eat, or draw. And she had some how to draw books, but I would never really follow the instructions. I just
Mhm.
trace or I draw what I'd see on TV. And so I'd hold my pencil like this with four fingers,
Okay.
and the teachers could never. When I was actually time to learn how to write, the teachers could try to fix, tried to get me to hold it right a couple times, but they couldn't break that habit.
Yeah.
And the concept for Cold Blooded came about in middle school when I first came up for the main character
Mhm.
and some other characters that I'm still referencing back to as I make my current manga, because there's characters that I've come up with and drawn over the years. Not all of them from middle school, but a lot of them that I'm going to refer back to and probably change and update their designs.
Excellent. I was well, I'll go into that later. But actually, what I asked, when did you feel ready to commit to making this project? Because I think you said you have big plans for it to be pretty ongoing. So when did you feel ready to be like, yeah, I just got to start drawing. I got to do this.
Uh, I think that was like right after I graduated from Sam Houston State University. I
Mhm.
graduated with a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Computer Animation. And my original plan was to like get a job in animation or something creative and then work on my comic on the side.
Mhm.
Because Originally, I had the idea for my comic, um, and I was thinking, well, that'd be great if it was animated, if I could have my own show. But um, I was realizing that, you know, with shows comes a lot of limitations, and it's like I would rather just make my own comic, and then hopefully one day it'll be adapted.
Okay.
But then I still like to animate, so I was wanting a job in animation. But to get a job in animation is so hard. It's so competitive in small industry, just like comics. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, if I had to choose one, I'd rather choose comics.
Okay.
And I didn't have any luck getting animation job or getting a publisher for my first ever comic. So that's when I was like, oh, I'm just gonna commit. I'm just gonna do it on my own, because that's how it seems like everyone gets their start anyway. So I may
Yeah.
as well.
Nice. Um, oh, what did I? So I have my list of questions here. I'm trying to just figure out the best one to ask next. Actually, yeah. So because this is meant to be a cold blood, it's meant to be a long project. How do you stay focused, knowing that it's, you're a lot supposed to happen, and how do you stay motivated on such a big project and not get distracted by wanting to do another story?
Um, well, this is the story that I want to do the most.
Okay.
Uh, and that helps me out a lot, because I do have other ideas, but they're not as well fleshed out, and they came up like I conceived them later on, and I don't, um, I would like to do them at some point, but I'm not in a rush. And I heard it's much better to focus on just one IP
Mhm.
for a while, because what I hear is some creators, they split themselves up between at the start of their career trying to do too many IPs at the
Mhm.
same time. They just need to focus on one.
Okay.
Um, and I don't know, I might do some small projects here and there. And yeah, so this is the project that I want to do the most, and it's what I'm exclusively focusing on. So it's like, uh, I'm not really working on, other than my YouTube channel, I'm not currently working on much of anything else.
Nice. All right. Yeah, actually, and speaking of your YouTube channel, I've really enjoyed the new like inspirational videos you've been doing. I really like
Uh-huh.
the why do you make comics? I think, and everyone should definitely go check that one out. I think it makes some really good points, and especially questions you should ask yourself when you want to commit to something, or when you decide that you want to do whatever in life. So I really enjoy those videos.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how many more I plan to do, but um, I, I may it may change, because originally I set out to do a whole lot more of those types of videos, but I may do less,
Mhm.
because what I'm currently some I read this book called The Miracle Morning, and it's changing my perspective on things a little bit,
Okay.
and so yeah, and I might. I'm streaming more. I'll just have to see where this takes me.
All right. For sure. And what was the book called? Miracle Morning?
Yeah, The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. Um, it's like, I was having a lot of stress and anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
stressing about my comic and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is, you get up early, and you have this morning ritual that you follow through, so you can start off the day great, and
Mm-hmm.
have a productive day. And so far I've been doing it for not quite a week yet, but it's been going pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And the book, it sounds like a life changing book, but I haven't even done it for 30 days,
Mm-hmm.
because the 30 days is what it takes to establish a new habit.
Right.
And so, um, yeah, and I have a feeling like it's helping me so far, but it's like I haven't done it enough to quite measure it,
Mm-hmm.
just to really say, well, it took me from here to there.
For sure. Do you like prefer working early in the mornings or late in the evenings on your manga?
Well, so like I was very much like a night owl. I feel like being a whole lot more productive at night,
Mhm.
but there's with the stress, it's like I always felt like I was behind,
Mm.
and it's like I'd be in a rush to like I gotta get this done before bed so I can at least get some sleep so I can get up and go to work tomorrow. But uh, get getting up first thing in the morning
Mhm.
and getting to it solves a lot of problems. Because one, it's like I can get out of the way, or I can at least make some progress.
Yeah.
I can work on other stuff. I can get up early and go work out as well, and I can I can still get some done even on a day I work,
Hmm.
and I don't have to leave it up to when I get off work when I'll feel tired and won't feel like doing it. I already have it done,
Right.
and I don't go to bed stressing out so much because it's like, well, I could just leave it to the morning.
Mhm.
I can just do it in the morning. Whatever I don't get done in the morning, I can do it the next morning instead of
Okay.
worrying about what I do before bed each night.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. I'm kind of the same way. I typically am a night owl. I work late, but I have had moments where I get up really early and I do some work, writing or drawing, and I like it better, but I still just keep staying up late. So maybe
Uh,
now I'm gonna have to try the morning thing and stick with it.
yeah, and it has like because the author that wrote the book, he's like, I'm not a morning person. I don't like getting up early. He's like that. There's other people. There are ways around that to get you up.
Okay. Yeah,
And
that's exactly what I
mhm.
need. Okay. So what tools I kind of see them in your videos, but what tools do you like to use to draw cold-blooded and do you also work digitally on it or you mostly just do traditionally and then scan it and you're done?
So it's a combination of traditional and digital, and
Mm.
I've kind of flip flopped back and forth
Mm.
because I'm still trying to find my process. And it's at least all penciled and inked
Mm.
traditionally. And I would scan it into Photoshop. I've been using Clip Studio, however, and then I would use screen tone digitally. But then recently, the last few chapters, I've been using traditional screen tones.
Okay.
Um, but then there's certain screen tones that I don't have, and I may, for a panel or two, I may use them the digitally in Clip Studio. And I do, of course, all lettering, just words
Mm.
in Clip Studio.
Okay.
And as far as tools, uh, I've been, I started out using just a regular pencil, but
Mm.
the problem is like I'm very heavy-handed. So when I erase, uh, you can still see when I would scan in, I would just mess with the levels and make the whites as white as they could and the blacks as black as they could and have to move the gray. But then it'd be difficult to do that without the pencil line showing up. So I started moving the blue pencil lead, and that's
Yeah.
helped a whole lot because then I can just scan and I can just take out the blue. And in Clip Studio, they make it even easier. You just click the you just scan in and then click monotone, no, or black and white or whatever it is, and it automatically takes out the blue pencil lead.
Okay.
I don't have to worry about that.
So,
And
oh yeah, no, go ahead. Sorry.
oh yeah, and it's I was gonna try and touch on the other tools.
Mhm.
I started out using Micron Pigmas to ink,
Mm.
but then I wanted to make it more manga like, so was I don't have it laying out. So I tried using I started using the nibs that you dip in ink, and because I figured that's more manga like.
Mhm.
Um, but then I've used other tools like Sharpies just to fill in black, or I've tried out various kinds of whiteout. Uh, I felt like I've used so many tools, like I've just
Mhm.
used every tool under the sun.
For sure. Sure. So you use traditional screen tones. So is the ones you have to cut with the crafting knife?
Yeah.
Oh man, nice. Here, yeah, I hear like I know like some artists do that, but that's like so. definitely old school, classic, but it's also challenging. You got to be very precise with it.
Actually, I really like it because the problem with digital is there is no limitations with digital. So it's like, and it's so forgiving. You don't really you're not having any constraints,
Yeah.
and it's like sometimes you need parameters because since having the traditional, it's like, okay, I only have so much tone,
Right.
you know. It's not covered by Prime usually, so if I order it, I gotta wait 2 weeks
Oh,
from
okay.
Amazon, and it's like, so it's not like I can just order more and get more 2 days, and it's like, the nearest Hobby Lobby is like 50 miles, and they don't sell it,
Oh,
and um, I'm sorry, it's about 30 miles, but anyway, it's like I can't just go out and buy it. It's like, so what I have, I gotta make use of it, and there's certain percentages. It's not like in Clip Studio you customize however you want it, and it's like in Clip Studio it's like, well, I don't know what to put the dots at. Wyatt Manga says he does like 85, so it's like, I guess I'll put it at 85.
yeah.
And it's like, and the frequency, but it's like, and it's weird because I've learned from using the traditionals, where now if I go back and do it digitally, I try to imitate how I would do it traditionally. I'm like,
Mhm.
well, traditionally I wouldn't be able to do it this way. Should I really do this like this digitally?
Yeah.
And yeah, because it's like one thing I would do digitally is I take a eraser and just use a soft brush, and you can do that. But it's like you can't do that traditionally, and it says you can scrape away. I tried that; I didn't really like that, so I just abruptly cut it if it's not already a gradient,
Okay.
and it's like it's one of those things that like it helps me. Maybe going back and forth makes me better in both.
Hmm.
I'd like to think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I just started really getting into digital art, and what I like about it is that it gets me working in color more, whereas traditionally I just feel, I guess it feels more permanent, and if I mix the colors wrong and I'm drawing something, I mess it up, have to start over. But yeah, I think you're right. Going back and forth is probably it's going to be a good way to practice. Um, so how? Oh well, I guess talking about inking, how did you practice inking before you started on this, or are you still like learning as you go with this manga, just specifically inking, because that's something I struggle with, so I'm always curious about other people.
I'm very much like a fine artist.
Mhm.
I excel, I think, in fine art more than digital art.
Mhm.
And um, I not only was I self taught originally, I um, about in high school. I learned about the elements and principles of art,
Mhm.
and then when I went to Odessa College and I learned painting and figure drawing and um, all the traditional art classes, which I generally do pretty well in.
Okay.
And then later I went to Sam, and it's like that was a little different because that was at that point I had already took most of my uh, traditional art classes, and then it was like the animation classes were typically on the computer, drawing on the computer, and I know about I know about like line quality
Mhm.
and how I can use that. I think like and the more I think I'm improving, the more I ink,
Mhm.
and I've been told like my line work looks clean, so I guess that's good. Um, I don't know. I like variations in the thickness of lines.
Yeah.
I hate when all the lines are just perfect or even. There's no line weight.
Yeah.
As long as there's some kind of line weight, even if it's not like, because there's a basic line weight where it's like where the light hits, there should be thinner lines,
Right.
and where it's in shadow should be darker. But then there's also pinch and something, but it's like where something's close together, it would be darker here, but then it would be thinner up here where it stretches out.
Okay.
But the thing is, like when I'm inking, I don't really think when I draw, and it's like for that, I have to consciously make an effort if I'm doing it as I ink, or I ink it and then I can go back and I can darken up lines to make it look better.
For sure. Yeah, I did. Okay, I'd never heard of the pinch on the other one. So
It's like pinch and stretch or something.
okay.
Yeah. And like basic things, like if something's closer to the camera, you can like ink it darker, and things farther away, it can be inked thinner to show that, hey, this is closer to the camera. And then like the thing that's far away is really thin.
All right. For sure. So I guess a couple questions mainly about Cold Blooded and the story. I enjoyed reading it, and your paneling and your lines are very clear, and it's easy to follow the story and what's happening. The drawings are really clean, and wanted to ask: are there any themes you're trying to hit on with Cold Blooded, or any kind of message you want readers to take away from your story?
There is. I don't know if I've really reached a point in the story where that's clear. I think right now it's maybe touching on it, but it's not quite abundantly clear. So there's a lot I have to say about a lot of things, and I want to say it in the span of Cold Blooded, because I think that's what all mangakas do. Is like I'm seeing their worldview through the manga, and I guess one thing I want to portray is kind of like the black and white nature of good versus evil. There's not really going to be a whole lot of in between, and how he's going to have to learn how to deal with that.
Okay.
And it's going to take like some traumatizing experiences to learn, a hard lesson.
Because nice. Because it's interesting. Because one of the things like that stuck with me from reading Cold Blooded was just the whole part with Sane, who we see him in the very beginning in the first chapter. I don't want to spoil anything, but just about Sane and the bullies. A lot. I don't know. A lot of that really stuck with me. Yeah, something about it just got me, and the way it was portrayed and how you kind of talked about the bullying, plus that plot twist with one of the main bullies. Did not see that coming during the fight scene, and yeah, I don't know. Something about it, I could relate to it. I think you've just told like differently versus other bullying stories I might have seen come up. I just like the way it was handled and could relate to it.
Yeah. So it's like because he's very much a victim, but he's almost made that way by his environment, and it's kind of like I wanted it to be like where maybe the bully, like he doesn't think what he's doing is necessarily wrong, but he's kind of seeing the consequences of his actions.
Yeah.
And that's why it's kind of a little bit of a redemption. I want to show that like everyone is faulty, right? That if I believe like some people believe people are inherently good, I believe people are inherently evil, and they have to fight that. And that's kind of like what REM stands for, is for fighting against that.
Yeah, I mean, even the difference between him and Sane in because at one point Rim made a comment like, "Yeah, he gets bullied too, but not the same way that Sane does." Hope I'm saying that name right. And
Uh-huh.
just see the different responses and how like
Uh-huh.
one went one way and one went the other way, as both having kind of similar experiences.
Yeah, and so, he's meant to be a foil
Mhm.
to which is what you always want, a foil character with similar but then some opposite
Mhm.
attributes to make him stand out. And this is going to be like important. This is kind of like this first arc is kind of like his almost an origin
Yeah.
for Rim, and then the next major arc is going to be more of a defining moment that I
Mm.
have planned, and it's is going to more solidify his character.
Okay.
And then the following arc I have in my head, there will be kind of a callback. It'll be a kind of similar to the first arc.
For
There'll be
sure.
some similarities.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely still feel like we're still in the origin story. It's still even I don't know, with Rome, I feel like we're still getting used to how things are going, like
Yeah.
breaking reality. And so printing, like I kind of mentioned earlier, like printing is something I've been thinking a lot about. How did you I guess how did you figure out the best way you wanted to print your manga? And that's like all the technical things such as bleeds, paperweights. How did you learn that? What were the most helpful resources to get you so you could choose the right options with your printing service?
So a lot of it can be quite confusing, but it's like when you're making, you at least need to make sure when you're drawing your page, you
Mhm.
at least know where the live area is or where the cutoff area is. And it's like that's part of why I like starting out traditional, because it has the blue lines. I know where the live area is
Okay.
and the cutoff area is for the um, for a manga format anyway. Now, manga and comics have slightly different dimensions, so that's important to also know. It's like, well, do you want it to be uh, like a single issue floppy, or do you want it to be like more like a tankobon? Because that's going to determine, how you draw it. Uh, you could draw it a certain way and then format it, but then it's like that'd be like extra work.
Mhm.
Um, it's just better to have that decided. So that's the first thing you want to have nailed down. And when you crop your pages, you want to include the bleed. I didn't quite understand what a bleed was.
Yeah,
Uh,
same. Struggled with it.
and I think I have a better grasp of it now.
Mm.
Uh, but you know what? So like with the library, you want all the text and important storytelling devices in it to ensure that nothing gets cut off. And then whatever is extra, and maybe it's okay if it gets cut off, or you know. Um,
Oh,
and as far as printing, there's a ton of companies that will do comic book printing. I went with
yeah.
Comics Wellspring because uh, a lot of the other ones that you have to like get with them and they'll give you a quote
Hmm.
and they'll want you to like make a PDF, and it felt like a lot of extra work. Whereas Comics Wellspring was just like, hey, you can submit a PDF or just give us the JPEGs or PNGs and we'll make it a PDF and all that, and you can clearly see what you can for a minimum of 25. It's however much you can clearly see how much it's going to be, so you know what to shoot for. And you don't have to really get a quote unless you just get a really huge quantity of books. And they have options: the lightning fast, the other two, like there's a 14 days or more.
Hmm.
It's like I think less than 14 days or something, and then and then there's lightning fast, and it's like 2 to 6 days,
Okay.
and that's really great if you wanted. if you were in a rush, you want to get a whole lot of books for a Comic-Con or something.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah. So, I guess really what's coming up next for you and for your YouTube channel actually, and for Cold Blooded? Like, what are just some of your next plans, even for the rest of the year before going into 2021?
So the plan is I'm going to try and continue to release a chapter per month,
Mhm.
As close as I can. I recently made a Patreon,
Mhm.
and it's I should have links on in some of my latest YouTube videos,
Okay.
or you could go to patreon.com/PerryS_Hotter,
Mhm.
and it will take you there. And my idea is I'm going to try and stay a chapter ahead. I won't release until I get the chapter I'm working on done. I won't release the next one,
Mhm.
because whenever I release a chapter, I have a $3 tier on my Patreon where when you pledge, you can immediately read the next chapter. And so you can be ahead and see that. And I'm going to promote that, and I'm going to continue to make YouTube videos. Hopefully, because I was earning a little bit from monetization, but I'm currently not earning anything from monetization. So I'm trying to like get it back up. And I may do some more streaming to promote myself,
Mhm.
and I may try to promote at some point when I feel like the book is complete for a volume 2. I may start promoting my next Kickstarter, but a few months more in advance, because with Kickstarters you really want to start promoting them a few months prior.
Okay.
You want to take more of your time with promoting it so you get a good start on your first day. And I have I'm you've listened to my videos, so you would understand that I've lost some weight on this program called
Yeah.
Tibia,
Mhm.
and I'm trying to. I recently became a coach, and I have my first client, and I might try and get more clients for that, and uh, make some money off that. And what I would love to happen is if I could make enough money between that, my YouTube, and my Patreon,
Mhm.
that I could make it full time, and I could like quit my job.
Yeah.
But until that happens, I'm going to be at my job, and I'm going to be working on a comic, and I'll being on Tavia coach and everything else. And I recently went on a trip, Frontier Comic Seminar to
Mhm.
Washington, and it was a Christian comic book seminar, and I was making a personal testimony comic. It's only 8 pages. I haven't quite finished it. That's like a small project that
Mhm.
I don't I have an idea what I want to do with it,
Mhm.
and I'm thinking I'm going to submit it to a publisher, and I might try to convert it to a vertical format and put on Webtoon, and then when it's all out, then I might run a Kickstarter with it. But I just have to see. I have to finish it first.
Right.
And before I finish that, I want to try to at least finish the current Cold Blooded chapter I'm working on,
Mhm.
and that's just where the Miracle Morning comes in, so I can try and accomplish all that. Because I feel like there's so many things I want to do, but I don't have enough time in the day to do.
For sure. Yeah, actually, that was another one of the things I noticed when I started following you, is that, again, like,
Mm,
you're just doing so you've accomplished a lot this year between the Kickstarter, getting your manga
mm.
printed, and also like losing weight. So it's been good that 2020 has for the craziness that this year has been, that it's cool that you managed to accomplish so much.
Yeah, I actually worked more as a result at my job because of the pandemic.
Mhm.
Because we have an older employee who smokes, and he would be a very bad candidate.
Mhm.
And so they took him off, and like I would cover him. And now currently I'm also covering him. So even though I'm part time, it's like I'm working full time.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Actually, yeah. Funny about the Kickstarter. Actually, you had mentioned you did a like Tyler James launch program before launching your Kickstarter to help you prepare.
Yeah. I went to some Comic Cons after I self-published some issues, of Cold Blooded as a single issue, and my first event I went to wasn't really a con, but it was to my local comic book shop on Free Comic Book Day, and I sold 16 copies, and I did really well.
Yeah.
But I went to subsequent Comic Cons, and I did not do as well. And I felt like I was doing worse and worse. I was feeling really terrible about myself. And in the back of my mind, I knew about Kickstarter and Indiegogo and crowdfunding. I knew about Comics Launch because I came across it while researching comics and how to get yourself out there. But I always thought, well, you know, that's for people with really big audiences, is what I thought. And it's like, I'm not ready for that. I'm not there yet. But then after my experiences at Comic Cons, I was like, I see now why people turn to Kickstarter and Patreon, because it's hard out there. And after listening to the Comics Launch podcast, which is free, which is what I started listening to first, and the guy who runs it, Tyler James, explains that you don't have to have a big audience to do a Kickstarter. That's actually a myth. And a Kickstarter is a great way to grow your audience, get a start, and is very alluring to me. And I felt like I needed a win under my belt.
Yeah.
And but then it's like, so I come to the conclusion, well, I want to do a Kickstarter, but now it's like, well, how do I do that?
Yeah.
And it's the problem with looking up free content on YouTube, because people are always touting like the internet is, there's all this free content. You know, you can learn how to do anything, but the thing is it's all disjointed, and it's just little nuggets of advice here and there from multiple different people, sometimes with contradictory advice. So who do you follow? How are you supposed to cobble that all together to plan and execute a successful launch of a Kickstarter? And that's the problem with free content. Whereas Comics Launch, some you pay for, but is an actual course. So with videos for you to watch and outlines for what to do. So you actually have a game plan. And that's what I felt like I needed. Like, I just need to be told what to do so I can do it. And it gave me that. And I'm really grateful for it.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, it's cool. I usually see his like ads on Instagram. They pop up in my feed a lot. And there's one where he's just scrolling through all the comics that have been published on Kickstarter, and I saw Cold Blooded in there. He like passed over, and I'm like, oh yeah.
Oh wow, that's great. So that's funny. I saw one of those ads, but I didn't see my book in it. I was like, oh, I know he got my book. Where is it? But that I didn't notice. You know, because I felt like there was another ad where he did that, but I didn't watch all of this. Now I'm gonna look for it.
Yeah,
that makes me really happy because he backed my Kickstarter, and so that was crazy that he did.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, well, yeah, because you mentioned it, I'd gotten some ads about it, and I heard about it, but I never really checked it out until, and then so now I need to go. I'd probably go follow him on Instagram in a minute, but yeah, I remember seeing that.
Any reservations you have about Comics Launch or anyone listening to this, just listen to the podcast, because while the podcast, unlike the course, it doesn't give you a clear outline. It will answer a lot of reservations that you have about Kickstarter, at least, on top of some free advice here and there between episodes. It isn't really enough to it's not, unlike a course, it's not really enough to give you a clear outline on what to do from beginning to end, but it's still really useful information.
Awesome. Cool. All right. So yeah. So for everyone, check out Comics Launch if you're planning to start a Kickstarter. I did get I got like his free newsletter where he gives you like a guide, and he talked about different types of Kickstarters depending on your level and your audience size. So I need to finish reading through it, but that was already a really useful resource. So
Yeah, he offers a lot of free workshops and stuff like that, and you can always sign up for his email list and try that.
cool means. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your day. I do have just another very important question, which are what are what's at least your top 3 anime or manga that, or at least what you're watching now?
What I'm watching, I'm reading. I'm reading My Hero Academia.
Mm-hmm.
I'm reading Dr. Stone.
Mm-hmm.
I read One Punch Man. I read Attack on Titan. There's some that I've read, but I fell behind on. I like Hajime no Ippo, and I like Beastars of all things. I never thought I'd like Beastars, and then I read it, and it's like, oh, I like this.
Okay.
Even though it's the story like goes from like you think it's a love story, but then it goes to be like a battle manga, and then it goes
Okay.
it goes all over the place is the only problem. I only complain about it. Like the author doesn't know what she wants to do with the series. And but I grew up watching Dragon Ball Z and then Naruto. Those are my 2 biggest inspirations. And currently I really like One Punch Man. I think I like the webcomic and I like the manga. I think One is great. I think Murata is great. You know, his art is just phenomenal. If I think of Dr. Stone, that's another one. The art is just phenomenal.
Okay.
Because it's like it's one of those. It's like some manga, the art is kind of rough around the edges, but Dr. Stone and One Punch Man are not those. Especially like Dr. Stone is great because characters have such great expressions. That's what really gets me, and it plays into a lot of like great comedy. I think it's one of its like big strengths. I fell behind on Boruto and Dragon Ball Super, and I stopped watching. I lost interest in anime like a long time ago.
Yeah, no, I did too for a while. I just like shortly after high school, I stopped watching as much anime, and I did start to get into some American comics and other things. But now I'm like, I guess since in quarantine, I've just gotten back into watching mostly old stuff, but I'm enjoying it again.
And I watch One Piece and I watch Black Clover. And it's funny, I read the first volume of Black Clover and I'm thinking, oh, this is so much better than the anime. Like the Toei really dealt Black Clover a bad hand.
Oh no. Him and a
with the animation and pacing, because it's like the first chapter. So like what gets me is like manga's ongoing and the chapters build off of each other. But when reading Black Clover, I noticed that the pacing is so great in the manga because it's like the way it starts each chapter is almost like its own story, even though they still build off each other until later down the line. But it's like in the anime, they take 2 episodes to tell like the one shot or the first chapter, and I'm thinking like, why didn't you could have fit that into one 22-minute episode?
Yeah,
it's what gets me. You know, it's just they're just dragging it out, just like they do with One Piece.
Oh yeah, totally.
But it's not dragged out as bad, in my opinion. And there are still some pretty stellar fights that they give some good animation in Black Clover.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, like I said, I don't want to take up too much more of your day. Thanks so much for jumping on here with me, especially because it was very like last week. I was like, oh, hey, I would love to interview you. And you said yes. And so I appreciate you willing to just set up the time and jump in.
Yeah, are you planning to do more interviews?
I would like to, yeah. I definitely have a lot of different people who I'd want to talk to. And I was thinking I'd do live streams later, but I'm like, let's just do it now. I want to talk with people too and try and catch people before they get too famous and then I can't reach out to them. So.
Hey, well, if I do, I'll remember you.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, well, definitely would want to talk once you've like either when next Cold Blooded comes out or if you got some other big thing coming up you want to talk about, let me know and be down.
Yeah.
Cool beans. All right.
I haven't been on a lot. I haven't been on a lot of podcasts or YouTube channels too much. And just I did. I'm on yours now, and I did Marshall's channel. And as far as podcasts, I was on about 3 different podcasts.
Oh, really? Oh, you'll have to send me a link to those. I'd
okay. Yeah. I'll hunt them. I'll hunt them down and send them to you.
Cool. Thank you. All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. You too.
You too. Have a good one.
All right. Bye.
Bye. All right, guys. So that was Perry's Hotter. Definitely go check him out. There's a couple links to his stuff in the description, for sure, to his YouTube channel. I'll try and add more in case I miss some. But thank you for joining me on this first live stream. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you later. Bye.